Do I have a story for you today? It's about a couple things. Well, more than a couple, but two main things. It's about love and it's about war. And sometimes wars are fought because of love, you might say, or maybe they thought they were in love. But before I begin talking about that, let's talk about the armor. Well, let's talk specifically about the armor of God. So here we have some armor and a sword, a helmet. In Ephesians Paul talks about our armor specifically, and that there's certain parts of it we must have. Back then they had to have some of these things too. One would be a helmet to protect their brain. If someone had a brain injury, of course, that would be a terrible thing. But we have, spiritually speaking, we have an armor and we have a helmet of salvation. Isn't that cool? That we are saved, that Jesus has covered our mind. So now our thoughts can be of this salvation, and everything we do, knowing that we're saved by grace, will cover and protect us from darts flying into our brain. Darts of the enemy, maybe discouragement, maybe deception, maybe depression, maybe other things like envy or jealousy or hatred. All these things that are bad, we can say, oh, we're protected by Jesus, by the helmet of salvation. Then, of course, we have a sword to fight with. This, as you say, says, what does it say? It says, the sword of the Spirit is the Word of God. Isn't that cool? So we can use the Word of God to fight our battles. And we don't have to worry anything else. It's our only offense that we have is the Word of God. So when we quote scriptures to someone, they'd have to fight with God, not with us, right? So important. Of course, we have some other things. We have the shield of righteousness that goes over our heart, just like that helmet goes over our brain. The shield of righteousness is Jesus' righteousness, because all have sinned and fell short of the glory of God, so our righteousness is very, very small and minute. It is like a filthy rag compared to the wondrous beauty of the righteousness of Jesus. So it covers our heart here, so when darts start flying in, they can't pierce our heart. Because our heart belongs to Jesus, and He lives within our heart. And now, when someone says, oh, I know you did that, you can say, yeah, but Jesus has forgiven me. He's covering my heart. I love that. And then we have the truth. That Jesus says, I am the way and the truth and the life. So His truth holds everything together, our armor and everything together, so that we can stand. His truth is all in all. And He is the truth. Even if there's no other truth, there's truth in Him. And then we have the shield of faith. This faith shields us from all the darts of the enemy, because our faith, it says, the just shall live by faith. That will walk by faith. And by faith we trust God. Even though we don't know and can't understand it all, we know that God will show up for us. So His shield covers us from all directions, the shield of faith. And then, of course, we have our gospel shoes. This one says the gospel of peace, but it's the gospel. So the gospel protects us too, because when we put on our specific shoes, we don't have to go barefoot anymore and step on all the rocks and little glass around. We have shoes that not only protect us, but they're spiked enough to hold us in the midst of our battle, so that we will not be moved. We'll stand firm and be courageous with our gospel shoes. And that means sharing the gospel and moving and going wherever God has us to share the gospel. I love that. So, as you see, we have some specific armor. I think I went over, and then of course, I love the sword that God gives us. And so now we can stand. So, what does this have to do with history? Well, a lot. Because you see, when we put on our armor, we can fight against the battle against the enemy. Well, who was the enemy in this story? We're going to talk now about, we're going into ancient Greece. And so I'm going to stop right here, and then we're going to get into a battle, one of the most famous battles in history, the Battle of Troy. And we're going to talk about, that part that is not true and that part that is true. And we're going to talk about the Iliad, which was actually a book that Homer wrote, and he dedicated it to the Battle of Troy. There's some really, really different tactics that happened in the Battle of Troy, things that you would really remember. Maybe about a wooden horse? Well, let's see in just a bit.